Hi, I introduce myself. My name is Alberto Baraghini, actor, performer, and speaker. And I'm going to read some pages of Karl Marx's book, most famous one, Capital. A critical analysis of capitalist production by Karl Marx. Part 1. Commodities and Money. Chapter 1. Commodities. Section 1. The two factors of a commodity: use value and value, the substance of value and the magnitude of value. The wealth of those societies in which the capitalist mode of production prevails presents itself as an immense accumulation of commodities, its unit being a single commodity. Our investigation must therefore begin with the analysis of a commodity. A commodity is in the first place an object outside us, a thing that by its properties satisfies human wants of some sort or another. The nature of such wants, whether, for instance, they spring from the stomach or from fancy, makes no difference. Neither are we here concerned to know how the object satisfies these wants, whether directly as means of subsistence, or indirectly as means of production. Every useful thing, as iron, paper, and company, may be looked at from the two points of view of quality and quantity. It is an assemblage of many properties and may therefore be of use in various ways. To discover the various uses of things is the work of history. So also is the establishment of socially recognized standards of measure from the quantity of these useful objects. The diversity of these measures has its origin partly in the diverse nature of the object to be measured, partly in convention. The utility of things makes it a value use, a use value, but this utility is not a thing of air. Being limited by the physical properties of the commodity, it has no existence apart from that commodity. Commodities such as iron, corn, or a diamond is therefore, so far as it is a material thing, a use value, something useful. This property of a commodity is independent of the amount of labor required to appropriate its useful quality. When treating a use value, we always assume to be dealing with definite quantities, such as a dozen of watches, yard of linen, or tons of iron. The use values of commodities furnish the material for a special study, that of the commercial knowledge of commodities. Use values become a reality only by use or consumption. They also constitute the substance of all wealth, whatever may be the social form of that wealth. In the form of society we are about to consider, they are, in addition, the material depository of exchange value. Exchange value, at first sight, presents itself as a quantitative relation, as the proportion in which values in use of one sort are exchanged for those of another sort, a relation constantly changing with time and place. Hence, exchange value appears to be something accidentally and purely relative, and consequently an intrinsic value, an exchange value that is inseparably connected with, inherent in commodities, seems a contradiction in terms. Let us consider the matter a little more closely. A given commodity, for example a quarter of wheat, is exchanged for X blanking, Y silk, or Z Gold and Company, in short, for other commodities in the most different proportions. Instead of one exchange value, the wheat has therefore a great many. But since X blanking, Y silk or Z Gold and Company each represents the exchange value of 1/4 of wheat, X blanking, Y silk, Z Gold must, as exchange values, be replaceable by each other or equal to each other. Therefore, first, the valid exchange values of a given commodity express something equal. Secondly, exchange value, generally, is only the mode of expression, the phenomenal form of something contained in it, yet distinguishable from it. Let us take two commodities, for example, corn and iron. The proportions in which they are exchangeable, whatever those proportions may be, can always be represented by an equation in which a given quantity of corn is equated to some quantity of iron. For example, 1/4 corn equal X CVT iron. What does this equation tell us? It tells us that in two different things, in 1/4 of corn and X CVT of iron, there exists in equal quantities something common to both. The two things must therefore be equal to a third, which in itself is neither the one nor the other. Each of them, so far as it is exchange value, must therefore be reducible to this third. A simple geometrical illustration will make this clear. In order to calculate and compare the areas of rectilinear figures, we decompose them into triangles. But the area of the triangles itself is expressed by something totally different from its visible figure, namely by half the product of the base multiplied by the altitude. In the same way, the exchange values of commodity must be capable of being expressed in terms of something common to them all, of which thing they represent a greater or less quantity. This common something cannot be either a geometrical or chemical or any other natural property of a commodity. Such property claim our attention only in so far as they affect the utility of those commodities, make them use values. But the exchange of commodities is evidently an act characterized by a total abstraction from use value. Then, one use value is just as good as another, provided only it be present in sufficient quantity, or, as old Barbon says, one sort of wares are so good as another, if the values be equal. There is no difference or distinction in things of equal value. 100 pounds worth of lead or iron is of a great value as 100 pounds worth of silver or gold.